This could blow the Lakers apart. Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, was publicly confronted by the camps of Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves, and it all stemmed from a strange comment suggesting that one or both of them could be traded.
If I were the Lakers, I would give serious consideration to moving Luka. I can get Luka and Austin are redundant.
I'm fine either way.
But that was only the tip of the iceberg. That comment didn't just stir debate, it triggered a full-blown confrontation, serious enough that others had to step in. And it didn't stop there. Rich Paul followed it up with an extended media run, openly criticizing Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves while carefully shaping narratives that shielded LeBron James. I've got the full context, what really happened behind the scenes, and why the situation could seriously threaten the final chapter of LeBron's NBA career. Let's be clear about one thing right now. None of this is normal. Not for an agent. Not for the NBA. And definitely not for a team that's supposed to be focused on winning games instead of surviving headlines. Agents are not meant to be public-facing figures. If fans recognize an agent's voice, something has already gone wrong. Their job is to operate quietly, protecting their clients, stabilizing locker rooms, and keeping drama far away from the players. They move in the background and let performances on the court do the talking. Take someone like Jeff Schwartz. He represents Nikola Jokic and a long list of key rotation players across the league. Yet you'll never see him hopping on podcasts to critique roster construction or take shots at Jokic's teammates. That's not because he lacks opinions, it's because he understands his role is to protect environments, not destabilize them. Rich Paul does the opposite. He's constantly in front of microphones, offering takes no one asked for about players he doesn't represent. Players who share a locker room with his own client and whose futures are directly tied to the Lakers' chemistry. That alone was already a recipe for tension. But when it came out that his comments escalated into an actual on-court confrontation, this stopped being just an opinion. Think about how wild that is. This is an agent publicly evaluating teammates, framing Luka Dončić and Austin Reaves as problems, while never once acknowledging the role his own client might play. At this point, Rich Paul isn't acting like an agent. He's acting like a shadow general manager who never has to answer for the fallout. He functions as a shield for LeBron James, redirecting blame outward while LeBron remains untouched. Even Leon Rose, before becoming president of the Knicks, was known for being aggressive but discreet. He fought hard for his clients without lighting fires in the media and leaving others to deal with the smoke. That's the standard. Agents with real credibility understand that once you start publicly criticizing other players, especially teammates of your client, you cross a line that's almost impossible to walk back. That's what makes this so alarming. This isn't someone slipping up or getting too comfortable behind a microphone. This is someone speaking with confidence that other agents would never dare to show. And that confidence doesn't come from Klutch Sports alone. It comes from a pipeline that's been shaping narratives for years. One where LeBron stays clean, Rich Paul takes the mic, and the media carries the message the rest of the way. Once you see that pattern, the next question becomes unavoidable. Why does he feel so comfortable doing this? Why does he keep showing up on podcasts, especially while the Lakers are spiraling, speaking as if he has authority over the team? The answer starts with LeBron James. LeBron has spent 2 decades mastering the art of staying untouchable. When things go right, he gets the credit. When things go wrong, it's never him. That's not luck, it's a system. LeBron doesn't go on podcasts to criticize teammates or publicly demand roster changes. His image depends on staying above that. But Rich Paul? That's where the chaos happens. Paul can say anything, anytime about anyone, and people around the league are noticing. Take the Austin Reaves situation. Skip Bayless tweeted about Rich Paul saying on his podcast that the Lakers should trade Reaves for Jaren Jackson Jr. LeBron quickly distanced himself, claiming it was strictly Paul's opinion, no input from him. Yeah, right. Everyone knows how this works. LeBron stays clean. Paul floats the idea. The media amplifies it. The narrative takes off and LeBron never has to touch it. And this isn't a one-off. Look at the timing of Paul's media appearances. Every time the Lakers hit a rough patch, he's suddenly everywhere shaping narratives, and they never land on LeBron. Never. That's especially ironic when you look at the numbers. Since LeBron returned, the Lakers have actually struggled more defensively. With LeBron on the court this season, their defensive rating sits around 119.3. When he's off the floor, it drops to about 116.8. 5-point improvement per 100 possessions. That may not sound massive, but in NBA terms, that's the difference between a lottery-level defense and a borderline playoff unit. It doesn't stop there. The Lakers have also posted a better win percentage without LeBron than with him. 11-5 without him compared to 8-5 when he plays. Yet somehow the blame keeps getting redirected. So why go on another podcast and this time not just blame Reaves or Luka, but question the entire Lakers roster and say they're not real contenders? Because that's the system at work. And right now it's not just creating noise, it's threatening to tear the team apart.
Like, I personally don't think the Lakers are good enough to be contenders right now. Not right now.
When you say contenders, what do you mean?
I don't think they have enough to get to the Western Conference.
At this point, it borders on delusion. Why is everyone else taking the blame, except the 41-year-old who refuses to retire and continues to weigh the team down? Because that's exactly what Rich Paul is there to prevent. He's doing what no other agent in the league does, using the media to protect, polish, and manipulate LeBron's image, brand, and legacy, while LeBron himself never has to say a word. And it was on one of those podcasts that Paul dropped a statement so controversial it sent shockwaves through the league. Not just because of what he said, but how he said it, and who he targeted. Without hesitation, he flatly declared, "Luka doesn't play defense. Not that Luka needs improvement. Not that his defense is inconsistent. Just a blunt dismissal. At the exact moment Luka is leading the team in scoring and running nearly every offensive possession with elite playmaking." And Paul didn't stop there. He went even further, praising Anthony Davis as the real championship defensive piece. The same Anthony Davis who was acquired in the trade that sent Luka out. Think about what that implies. That's not just praising AD. That's directly telling Luka, "You're the problem." Then Paul doubled down by praising Nico Harrison, the GM who orchestrated the trade, framing his defense wins championships philosophy as some kind of masterstroke. The irony? Harrison was fired just months later after Mavericks ownership realized how disastrous that move was. Meanwhile, Dallas is now floundering in the lower half of the Western Conference, struggling to stay relevant without Luka. And Luka? He's averaging 37 points, 9 assists, and nearly 8 rebounds per game with the Lakers, clearly performing at a superstar level. But according to Rich Paul, defense is the hill he's willing to die on. Never mind that Anthony Davis isn't the same defensive force he once was, or that Dallas is still struggling defensively even with him. Paul is selectively framing facts to make Luka look like the liability, and it's disturbingly effective. This isn't personal. Strategic. By positioning Luka as the defensive problem and AD as the championship anchor, Paul is subtly reshaping how fans, executives, and even future free agents view the Lakers' future. And throughout all of this, LeBron remains completely insulated. This is real-time media manipulation, executed flawlessly. No wonder tension has been building. And if you think it stopped with a podcast comment, it didn't. That was just the setup. Because Paul didn't only come for Luka. This time, it escalated into a full-on on-court confrontation. It happened on January 14th during halftime of the Lakers-Hawks game. The atmosphere was tense, visibly tense, the kind of tension that doesn't appear overnight. It had been building for weeks. What? Because after trashing Luka, Paul went on yet another podcast and casually said that if he were running the Lakers, he'd call Memphis and include Austin Reaves in a trade for Jaren Jackson Jr., and that's when things crossed from reckless commentary into outright chaos.
If I was the Lakers, I would probably be targeting the Memphis Grizzlies as a trade partner for Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit.
I would.
For whom?
You could say, let me withhold that, but this comes with
Austin Reaves.
This comes with a very unemotional attachment.
Let that sink in. This is a player currently on the Lakers, someone grinding every night alongside LeBron, and he's being put on the trade block by a guy who doesn't even represent him. If you're thinking it's just talk, no. In the NBA, that's the equivalent of slapping someone in front of the entire league, and it didn't stop there. On another episode, Paul went even further, suggesting that Austin should simply accept a sixth-man role, sit quietly, know his place, and let stars like LeBron take the spotlight.
Really, Austin Reaves, and who knows what happens by the playoffs, is Ginobili, right? In an ideal world,
on a championship team,
he's the killer sixth man, right?
Yeah.
On the Spurs, he'd be the sixth man, right? Especially back in the day.
The Spurs made that decision, and you know what Ginobili did? He embraced it. Right. And how many championships they win? 5.
Yeah.
It's those type of decisions to be made.
You don't need to be an insider to recognize how disrespectful that is. Reporters and analysts called it out immediately, labeling it unfair, unprofessional, and exactly the kind of behavior that can fracture a team if it continues.
I think that's unfair to Austin.
Yeah.
I think this kid has shown that he can be, a go-to guy on the winning team. He's improved every single season.
Now, it's important to understand why this matters so much. Austin Reaves isn't a hype-driven player with a flashy social media brand. He entered the league undrafted. No guarantees, no safety net. Everything he earned the hard way. And he didn't just survive, he delivered when it mattered most. In the playoffs, under extreme pressure, with every possession magnified, Reaves stepped up and performed. Then he did something else that says a lot about who he is. He signed a team-friendly contract. The kind of deal that gives the Lakers real roster flexibility. That's the type of move you usually see from established veterans chasing championships, not from an undrafted player still proving himself. Contrast that with LeBron, whose career began with unprecedented advantages, entering the league as a generational prospect with the system already built around him. So Reaves' frustration isn't about ego. It's about respect, about protecting what he's built through effort, sacrifice, and performance. And beyond the stats and contracts, Reaves carries real weight in the locker room. He's viewed as a glue guy, someone teammates trust to keep the culture intact and hold people accountable. That's not easily replaceable, and it's not something you casually undermine without consequences.
With his growth and the way he's continuing to improve and the trajectory that he's on right now, I have to disagree. I think he's earned the right to be a starter. I think he's a household name at this point in his career, and I think he'll only continue to get...
You don't just label a player like that as sixth man without creating serious resentment, especially when it's coming from someone who doesn't even represent him. And because Reaves isn't a Klutch client, it becomes obvious why Rich Paul feels so comfortable publicly targeting him. With all of that simmering, the added comments were gasoline on a fire. By halftime of the Hawks game, Reggie Berry, Austin Reaves' agent from AMR, had reached his limit and confronted Paul directly on the sideline near half court. People in the arena said the situation escalated so quickly that team staff had to physically step in and separate them. By the end of halftime, one thing was clear: Rich Paul's public narratives were no longer just takes. They had become a direct threat to locker room morale and team chemistry. That's exactly why the Luka and Reaves camps were always going to react. If you rewind the build-up, this blow-up was the result of pressure that had been mounting for weeks. For Luka, even before Paul's defense comments, there was already a narrative hanging over him. Analysts and commentators, including respected voices like Zach Lowe, have repeatedly gone after Luka's defense, something nearly every offensive superstar deals with because opponents relentlessly target them. One analytics clip from last postseason showed teams attacking Luka, citing numbers like Jaden McDaniels shooting efficiently when guarded by him. Critics latch onto those stats while ignoring the reality. Luka carries a massive offensive load and still does far more of the dirty work than most stars. But what made this situation toxic wasn't the criticism itself, it was the source. When that same narrative is weaponized by someone inside LeBron's inner circle, it stops being analysis and starts feeling targeted. Especially when Luka has actually shown defensive improvement and earned recognition for it. Coming from the camp of the supposed team leader? That's corrosive. Now flip to Austin Reaves. Reaves didn't enter the league with hype or protection. He went undrafted in 2021, fought for a roster spot, earned every minute, and turned himself into a legitimate NBA starter. This season he's been putting up 20-plus points per game, starting most nights, occasionally leading the team in scoring, and ranking among the league's most efficient shooters. He's hustle personified. Now imagine hearing someone publicly suggest you should be relegated to a sixth-man role, or casually thrown into a trade package, after you've earned your spot through pressure-packed playoff performances and near all-star level production. Last season, Reaves was averaging numbers that had fans, analysts, and even Lakers head coach J.J. Redick openly saying he deserved all-star consideration. This wasn't disrespect toward potential, it was disrespect toward results. And none of this happened in a vacuum. To understand how Rich Paul and LeBron have been able to operate this way for 2 decades, you have to look at the system that enabled it. The rise of Rich Paul, the power of LeBron's inner circle, and how that influence has quietly shaped the NBA. Rich Paul didn't just appear out of nowhere. He went from selling jerseys out of his car in Cleveland to crossing paths with a 17-year-old LeBron James in 2002, already a national phenomenon. That meeting wasn't just a business connection, it was the first domino. Paul didn't simply represent LeBron, he embedded himself at the center of influence. Fast forward a few years and Paul leaves his agency to launch Klutch Sports. Suddenly he's not just an agent. He's a brand architect, a narrative shaper, and someone front offices tread carefully around because he carries LeBron-level leverage. By the mid-2010s, Klutch Sports had become the most powerful and polarizing agency in the league, largely because LeBron was its cornerstone. That power was so significant the NBA literally created the so-called Rich Paul rule, requiring agents to hold a bachelor's degree. When it threatened Paul's ability to operate, the rule was quickly walked back after public pressure. The message was unmistakable. The influence ran deep. There have long been whispers about Paul prioritizing his biggest clients while smaller ones took the hit, and the confidence with which he operates only reinforces that perception. Former players have hinted at it. Jeff Teague even openly discussed it on a podcast. When you put all of this together, the confrontation wasn't shocking. It was inevitable. Because once agents stop protecting environments and start shaping narratives at the expense of teammates, the fallout is no longer hypothetical. It's unavoidable.
Anytime you say anything about Bron, people call you and say, hey man, you might want to chill. I know you got some funny stories and shit. So I know ain't nothing getting by. They whole camp. They run the league. They whole camp run the league.
That's not an exaggeration. It's exactly what NBA insiders talk about off camera. Even legends like Charles Barkley have called them out, accusing them of acting like bullies and manipulating teams and narratives in ways no one else in the league can.
You know how that group works. They try to trade their players to where they want to.
Talk about the Rich Paul Klutch.
Yes, they do it the way they want to. They put Anthony Davis.
And it's not hard to see why. Over the last 2 decades, LeBron's influence over roster construction, coaching hires and firings, and even front office decisions has been enormous. Ask Russell Westbrook. Ask David Blatt. Ask Frank Vogel. Players and coaches have been moved, marginalized, or discarded based on what LeBron and Rich Paul wanted at the time. Meanwhile, LeBron steps back, smiles, and plays innocent while his inner circle does the dirty work. The pattern is everywhere. Remember Nerlens Noel? Allegedly, Paul advised him to turn down a $70 million deal, then went radio silent as Noel's value collapsed. That's exactly what people mean when they say mid-tier clients often become expendable pawns. Then there's Anthony Davis. His trade demand resulted in a $50,000 fine, yet everyone knew Paul was publicly driving the narrative. Still, the league looked the other way as if LeBron's agent operates under a different set of rules. And that's not even touching the legal issues. Veteran agent Mark Termini sued Paul for $4.9 million in unpaid fees, including commissions tied to LeBron deals. These aren't isolated incidents, they're part of a long trail of controversy that follows him. Even Bronny James landing on the Lakers raised eyebrows. You're telling me an average prospect gets drafted to his father's team over more deserving players, and that wasn't orchestrated? Come on. So here's where things stand. The Lakers are in a strange place. They have talent. On paper, this roster should be performing far better than it is. But the Rich Paul situation isn't just background noise, it's actively poisoning the environment. You cannot build a championship culture when an agent is publicly talking about players like they're monopoly pieces. Rich Paul has been untouchable for years, largely because LeBron's shadow gives him power most agents could only dream of. But the league is changing. Luka Dončić isn't just a rising star anymore. He's becoming the new face of the NBA. And the old script where LeBron controls everything isn't going to hold forever. For the Lakers, the path forward is obvious. Protect your players. Control the narrative internally. Stop letting outside voices destabilize the locker room. That means addressing Luka's and Austin Reaves' concerns directly and keeping the focus on basketball, not backroom power plays. As for Rich Paul and LeBron, there's a fine line between influence and interference, and they're skating dangerously close to crossing it. If Paul keeps publicly undermining teammates or floating trade scenarios like this, it won't just upset players, it will damage LeBron's legacy. So the question becomes simple. Do the Lakers double down on the Paul-LeBron playbook and risk losing Luka's and Reaves' trust? Or do they finally put the team first and shut this chaos down before it tears everything apart?